TCU at Texas, though. It's the biggest game in the Big 12 this week. It's one of the biggest games of November because of the stakes that are riding on this thing. The home edge, got to give it to Texas. Desperation edge, got to give it to Texas. TCU technically doesn't have to have this, at least for the Big 12. Texas does. Texas would be out of this thing if they lost this Saturday. But the Big 12 rooting interest, I got a big question mark there. Because I think there are some teams like Baylor, like Kansas State, they would just as soon see TCU win and bump Texas out of there. It thins the herd a little bit, and they're still in it, and Texas is not. But the conference, although I know you guys pretend to hate Texas, you also understand what kind of money they bring when they're in that conference title game, and you're going to get rid of them soon anyway. So I think there may be some quote-unquote powers that be that may still be pulling for Texas. Not like any of that matters necessarily, but I do want to point out one interesting thing about this game. And that is, when I was in Austin earlier last month, I guess, I was there on a Friday. I was walking through the football offices. Who were they about to play? Who in the world did Texas? Oh, Bama. So Bama was in town. Big game. So the staff and the team, they left the facility a little bit earlier that Friday. I'm walking through the hallway, and all the coaches are already gone, except one of them. I don't know that I told this story. It's not a great story. Gary Patterson. Gary Patterson still grinding away, lights off in his office, just grinding away. And I think about him this week, just like I thought about him that week, because I think he just got tasked with the Alabama game plan for the whole summer. There's Gary Patterson, former TCU head coach, just hanging out in his office down in Austin, Texas, just waiting on all those kids he recruited to come down there. I think he may know a thing or 10 about that team. It could matter, it could not. I think it's noteworthy. The half versus half disparity here is shocking. I don't think we've ever gone to the lengths to present this. We are so enthralled with the half versus half in TCU versus Texas. One of our best bets, one of our Ramen Noodle Express picks is going to be a derivative. It's going to be a first half bet. I mean, Bud Elliott does 15 of these things every hour. We don't do all that many of them, but we're going to do one tonight. Texas leads the Big 12 in first half points per game and points margin in the first half. TCU leads the conference in every one of those categories in the second half. Texas gets a lead like every week in the first half, and then they either squander it or they hold on to it by the skin of their teeth in the second half. TCU has no interest in leading at halftime. It's almost like they would rather trail because they see how much slack's in the rope, and they come out of the locker room, and then they start pulling. And they pull enough of that rope to pull by you and wave and grin in the process, and everyone who thought they were about to go down looks like an idiot. Happened again last week. And so TCU is getting Quentin Johnson back. We think, the big-time receiver for the Horned Frogs. They're getting him back. Now, what we don't know because of an ankle issue is what version of him we're going to get this week. But we think we're going to get him. That makes a big difference. At what level, I don't know. But it's important that he's at least out there, and Texas at least thinks that he can go at a high level because the Texas defense can otherwise probably limit this run. But as I say that, I know TCU staff has supreme confidence in that offensive line and that run game. They're proud of the physical nature that those guys have played with. So the potential padlock stat this Saturday is TCU is blank in run defense. Because as much as I'm talking about what TCU can do on the ground, I'm even more interested in what they can do against the Texas run. They faced Oklahoma, and they didn't get Gabriel for all of that. And Oklahoma still ran the ball kind of well on them, but that was such a lopsided game, who knows. Then they faced Kansas State, and Adrian Martinez was out a lot of the game. Kansas State's got a pretty good run game. They put up some good numbers on TCU. But this week, you've got potentially a quarterback in Quinn Ewers that can change a game if you're not careful. And you're in the mid-60s in run defense as it is, and you got Bijan Robinson to face this week. And what's he done lately? Well, he's the only player in FBS with 800 rushing yards and 250 receiving yards. He also has 7 games consecutive now, 6.2 yards per carry. That's the average as of late. And so I'm interested because I guarantee you both these teams think they can take the game over on the ground. I think one of them will, and almost certainly that will be the team that ends up winning. Let's take a look at the model. The Vegas number right now is Texas -7. And I've got to tell you, the model does not think that is enough. The model looks and says, hook 'em horns. Texas minus 10.5. I think the model's right. I know you're not used to seeing Texas own a big game, and it may feel weird, but I think they're going to win the game Saturday. I think they're going to cover 7, but that's not our best bet. Our best bet is Texas minus 4 in the first half, because I cannot ignore those first half derivative discrepancies. And those are a lot of syllables for just 2 words, but Texas minus 4 in the first half is a Ramen Noodle Express best bet. We're adding that one to the pack there. It's going to be a really fun one. That's 7:30 Eastern Time on ABC. Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure and leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.